to the stream. My name is Milo, and today I'm actually joined by a special guest commentator. Say hello, please.
Hello, I'm BananaMeteor. I do a lot of rareware art, and I'm here to offer my 2 cents and hopefully be entertaining.
Yeah, cool. Should be chill. Yeah, BananaMeteor just asked me this morning if I wanted a co-commentator, and yeah, I thought that was a pretty neat idea. Okay, so what we're doing on this stream is playing the post-game content for Donkey Kong Country, the Trilogy, the fan game that I've been doing for a while now. I finally finished the game itself in a monster stream last week, or last time. It was only 2 days ago. But yeah, there was stuff to do after that. The text that I was given when Andre, the programmer in the game, introduced the new mode to me was a little bit unclear. It seemed to imply that you would only get one chance to do this. So what I've done is copied my save file, just in case it locks me out of anything. I have a backup. So I'll go back into that completed file from yesterday or 2 days ago. It doesn't matter.
There's a lot of content. There is so much to do here.
There is. There are many hours of play, especially if you're not that great at the game like me, apparently. And I thought I was good at this kind of games.
I have been impressed with your gameplay from what I've seen, because I would certainly not be doing that well.
Thank you. I did notice when sort of doing in between stream, like getting bonuses and stuff, grinding for lives, I do play better when I'm not also talking over the gameplay.
I can imagine.
Do you want to say the final boss or anything, since we're here?
Sure.
Okay.
If you don't mind playing it again, I don't know if there's anything to...
I'm not going to play through the whole thing again. It's too long.
Okay. Just a bit of it.
Since you missed it on the last one.
I can't really see this anywhere else other than your channel, right? Because like, there's not really any other American streamers playing this.
Well, maybe there's none, because I'm not American.
Okay, I should say English speaking.
Thank you. Oh, that reminds me. On my last stream, the person that I was talking about leaving comments and stuff, they left another comment thanking me for the shout out, and I realized I hadn't given their name, so I'm just gonna look that up. Oops. Yeah, so this person is DrauNCJ, DRAUNCJ, and I noticed that they've just left another comment because they're also stuck on Inverse Nightmare, which is this level. I'll show you what that looks like. It's awful. They're talking about how they hate any level with reverse controls, and that's what's happening here. My left and right is reversed, and also the background is really disorienting, so
I did make it to the beginning of you playing this one. And,
oh yeah, I was on this level for a long time.
I had to look away for a bit because I'm such a baby when it comes to motion sickness.
Alright, that gives us an extra con. Anyway, they're saying that the extreme momentum that I experienced when rolling through the back of a clamp-on into another one is exclusive to this level. Something about the coding doesn't like it when you roll through an enemy without holding a direction. And you can zip across the screen.
Every time the background flips in that one, your controls change as well?
No, the background flipping is only aesthetic. It's just a flat left and right are reversed through the whole level.
Okay. I'm not sure what would be worse, but it still seems hard.
I think that would be worse if it flipped. Oh wow. They even tried to implement some third-party software that would flip the controls after it had been flipped in the game to make it easier on themselves.
This poor dude. I hope he's able to beat it.
Yeah, also giving me a tip about pressing start and select. I'll give it a go. Anyway, this is the boss of World 8 that you would have missed. Cool concept. You have to... Whoops. Oh, wow. I can't believe that actually did not kill me. So you have to keep yourself in the air through constant web shooting. Meanwhile, you try and hit K-roll with your attack webs, like so.
Wow, it's like a harder version of that one level from DKC2, where you just have to traverse over that huge empty space with
Oh,
Twitter.
Web Woods, yeah. That's
Web Woods is a little tedious.
it's one of the hardest levels of the original trilogy for sure. Anyway, I've done this before, so let's try.
And I think Web Woods is also one of the ones where the DK coin is like trapped in the the ending hole as well, too, right? So you can like full clear it and then not get the coin.
I talked about it on the last stream. It's the dirtiest trick in the whole game, maybe the whole trilogy.
I want to say there's two that have that, 2 levels, but I always forget what the other one is.
Yeah, so do I. But it's the other level, whatever it is definitely not as much of a slog as.
It's not a Web Woods.
Yes, Web Woods, yeah. So a lot of the boss fights in this game work like this, where the boss just sort of goes back and forth lots of times. A TNT barrel eventually spawns, and then you use that to do damage, and then you just rinse and repeat literally like many times. And that's how this one works too. When Baron is done, Captain comes out and shoots some cannonballs and jets back and forward. And then King comes out. He never throws his crown, but he runs back and forward and he jumps alternately, and it's just really long. So I'll spare you going through it again. I'll spare the audience.
Okay.
But yeah, what we're here today to do is to check out the new stuff that was unlocked when we actually cleared the game. Hey, Gibbon's here. How's it going? Hi, how's it going, Gibbon? I've got BananaMeteor in audio commentary with me, which, by the way, you're welcome to join anytime if you like, now that I've sort of worked out that it is viable. She suggested it, but yeah. Invitation's open for you.
Get the DK Girder crew together.
Yeah.
Hi, Gibbon.
Okay, we're going to get this message again. So it'll give me another chance to try and understand what it's saying.
Now, is this content that would be unlocked if you had just cleared the game without 100%ing, or is this exclusive to the 100%?
I think you have to 100%. I think you have to get everything. All the bonus coins, all the DK coins, all the Kong letters. I'm not really sure, though. But during the ending sequence, there was a sort of message from Cranky that was like, oh, you managed to get everything. In that case, let's go here. So those petrol cans got blown away, and yeah, the premise of this is that we have to get them back, and yeah, I'm not really sure what that entails. As far as I could tell, you go back to an existing level, and they're put in as an extra collectible within that level.
Okay. Are they all in one level, or is it multiple levels where you have to find the cans?
It seemed like it was just the one level. Gibbon says, yeah, so Gibbon does this multi-streaming, watching other people's stuff as well as mine at the same time, so maybe that would be splitting her attention too much to be also present in audio, so fair enough.
Yeah, I don't know how you do that, Gibbon. I can't even listen to music with like lyrics when I'm working on something, because I'll like get too enraptured in those, and then I'll have to be like, nope, no lyrics. You have to do like lo-fi beats or like video game soundtracks.
So I tried this out briefly at the end of last stream, but that was after 4 hours of hard graft, and
I imagine you were pretty tired.
I was completely devastated. But from what I could tell, what was I going to say? It's like one of the levels I've already done, but maybe the storm is new, and yeah, here's one of the gas cans, so grab it. It appears there. So it's pretty simple.
That hard yet.
Yeah.
For post-game con, so that worries me.
Well, we'll see. Oops. It happens. So it gave me 15 lives when I entered the level the first time. Apparently I've earned another one there, so we're at 16. Oh, now I'm back at 15. Okay. And yeah, the
Starting to
petrol
ramp
can
up
has
the
actually
later you get.
disappeared. Sorry, what was that?
It's definitely starting to ramp up in difficulty the later you get.
Mm.
Starts easy.
Also, Given, could you let me know how the audio balance is? I had to try and finagle some things so that BananaMeteor wasn't too quiet. She's on the same channel as the game, essentially. So all the lightning actually in this level is pretty loud. So I hope that's not drowning you out there.
Yeah, I have my stream muted, so I can't confirm there.
Oh, how do I get up? There must be one over there, but I don't remember how to get it. I've definitely done this level before. Might have to come back to it.
The thing I really enjoy about this game is how the camera is more zoomed out than the regular titles, so you kind of get like more space to figure out what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great benefit of this, yeah, to be sure. I'm trying to think if I could backtrack with Espresso's flap, but I don't think it's that powerful. I feel like it's even a little bit less powerful than it was in DKC1 because I think in that game your first flap gave you a tiny bit of height. Oh, that's the end. Maybe you have to do 5 levels and there's 1 in each.
Yeah, it must be. I don't think you could have missed 4.
Yeah, I know. Alright.
Man, Rare really did love to make a
Yeah, here you
bird
go.
wearing sneakers, huh?
And a spider?
Put them on everything.
Oh, what else? There were surely others, right?
There has to be. I think the original concept for Banjo also had him in sneakers when they had him, like the backwards cap and stuff.
Yeah. Back when that was part of the damage system of the game was he was wearing like a hat and a shirt and shoes, and each time he would get hit, you would lose one of those items of clothing.
For that, I actually think that's a really cool idea.
Yeah, I feel like maybe a game did that at some point, but I'm not sure. Alright,
Oops, sorry, go ahead.
sorry, I was gonna say this level is another one we've done, but it's got an added effect much like the rainstorm of the last one. This wind effect, I don't think it's actually affecting my sort of momentum or jumps or anything, but it is like an added visual distraction, and that's the idea, I guess.
Yeah. And was the rain in the last level also exclusive to this gas can mission?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah.
From what I can remember. It's been several weeks since I played some of these levels.
Yeah.
Given is saying that it's just 5 in a row with no breaks. Interesting. Yeah, so I guess that's what it meant when you had to sort of do everything in one go, was that you'd have to do 5 levels in a row. Oops, with only 15
back
lives.
to level 1 if you die. That would be brutal.
Oh, don't say that.
I'm sorry.
You're gonna curse it. Especially with these auto-scrollers, it can be a bit dicey. Even with, like you say, the added screen size does help a lot with this. Ah, fingers crossed. Oh no. Yep. It's 5 in a row with 1 life. Good grief.
Oh my goodness.
So we might actually be here a while. I'd planned to play a bunch of other silly fan games that I'd found in the meantime, but this stream might just be this challenge.
Strap in.
Strap in. But yeah, you mentioned Spyro. That does have an innovative and interesting health system. Oh, that recoil was frozen.
And that's what the Banjo Close thing reminded me of. It's one of those things too where it's not really a UI, it's just something that's like on your screen that's almost kind of aesthetic, but if you like observe it, it's like, oh, that's my health bar. Cool.
Yeah, in that case it's the color of sparks. And then there's a side effect on that where if you get hit enough times you lose the benefit of sparks.
And then picking up gems sucks.
Oh god.
Hang in there, buddy. It's gonna be okay.
It's cool, it's fine. This is a fun game. At least when
Since
we
I
don't have our
fixed it.
controls reversed.
I had to say, hope it doesn't put you back at the start when you die.
Yep, and it
I could
did.
have changed history by just not saying that.
No, I think Andre warned us about this. Maybe, I wonder if this mode has anything to do with the secret of the lost banana. We don't really know what that is yet. I don't know if you were there for the very start of my last stream, but on their social media channels, they've been promoting like a contest that they're going to be doing with this game. Whoa!
Oh yeah.
Whoa, okay. Yeah, so you do get extra momentum out of these barrels if you press jump at the right time. And that threw me off there.
Well, at least you didn't go off the level for it.
Again. Oops. Okay.
Yeah, there must be a pretty big community around this game if they're having like a competition with a cash prize.
Yeah, I don't really know. Presumably their Facebook page has like number of followers or something listed. I haven't
I wonder what
checked.
would happen if you beat one of these levels without the gas can. Obviously, you don't want to try because it'll probably boot you back to the start. But they don't seem too hard to find.
Yeah, yeah, I was gonna say that. They're not hidden too deviously.
Not like that 4 DK coin in that one wooden boards level. That was brutal.
Kitty Kong. I can't wait for that other fan game that's all about Kitty Kong.
He deserves it. This poor man. I was really glad that fan reception to Ukulele Impossible Lair seemed so positive, but it made me sad when people would call it Donkey Kong Country 3 because they don't like Donkey Kong Country 3, and it's like, no,
Ah! Ugh.
don't be mean.
Yeah, that's nasty. Never deny the existence of Kitty Kong.
Yeah.
He's just a baby.
No, he's just a little man. He's trying his best.
Okay. 2 down.
Okay.
Oh, wow. So
Is this
here,
next one scary?
it's one of the tree levels, and we're flying around freely as squawks. But they've put a... You'll see it in a second. They've put a very distracting leaf falling effect over the whole screen.
It feels like an early Windows screensaver.
So yeah, that is the theme with these levels, is they're going to be adding distraction with visual elements.
Yeah.
On top of the petrol, fuel. Ah! I tried to get away, but I actually got stuck. The fact that it's a gauntlet of 5 levels in a row makes it a lot more tense.
Yeah.
A mistake can
Probably
cost you dearly.
nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
I wonder why so many birds in the Donkey Kong series cough up nuts. 'Cause I don't think I've ever seen a bird do that in real life.
That is a very good question. I feel like Squawks' projectiles are eggs, and actually you do get more time with them on screen. Here, I'll spit a few out onto this.
They're eggs. Okay. My
Yeah.
mistake.
No, it's easy to make that mistake, especially on the SNES, but everything's higher res here, so it's a little bit easier to tell.
I just thought it was like a big walnut, like Necky style, but I guess
Yeah,
not.
because Neki has that precedent, of course.
Yeah.
I'm on the lookout for another DK barrel if I can. Of course, there's no midways in these versions of the levels. Yeah. The fuel is very, Oh god. Okay, it's fine. Yeah, the fuel's relatively easy to get. It's just sitting there. This kind of reminds me of... oh god, okay. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. DK Jungle Climber. I don't know if you played that one.
I have not played that one.
It's a very cool game. It's Paon's second game with the Donkey Kong license, and it builds on what they did in King of Swing, where you're grabbing and swinging from pegs. But they've made it all a lot closer to DKC in terms of the graphical style and things like that. Everything's sort of made of pre-rendered models now for the character sprites, which is kind of a shame if you were into the King of Swing art style, as a lot of fans were. But anyway, I think it's a really cool game. But one of the things it does is it has these extra bonus levels. Kind of the lost world of the game is found by enlisting the help of Funky, and in exchange you have to find like fuel barrels in the levels as an extra collectible, and you cash a certain number of them in to Funky, and then he lets you go do an extra level that's harder.
Now, what platform is Jungle Climb for? I'll have to look for it next time I'm in a retro store.
It's on the DS.
Okay.
And
Man,
it
used to come out with so many Donkey Kong games. I miss it.
Cool. Alright, that wasn't too bad. Yeah, Gibbon was also reminded of the fuel barrels. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, the fact that it uses the DS capabilities pretty well. The action is sometimes split across the two screens, giving you more vertical space. But at other times... Oh my gosh. The mist effect on this level is probably the most distracting one yet.
Yeah, I just got there. I don't like it.
But yeah, there are some levels in Jungle Climber where you sort of have the same action happening on both screens. There's one a bit like this where like everything is obscured with fog, but the bottom screen shows you like a slightly different thing to the top screen to help you navigate it.
Definitely have to look it up. I've been picking up a lot of old DK games. I've been going to retro stores lately, which is good for my knowledge of DKU, but bad for my wallet, but that's totally fine. I finally picked up Returns when I was out yet.
Oh, nice.
Because I've never played Returns. Whoops. So I should get on that.
Which version did you get?
I got the Wii version.
Cool.
Is it a good one?
Well, yeah, it's a lot easier to play it in co-op. I don't even know if the 3DS one has co-op. But it looks nicer, it runs at a better frame rate. The benefits of the 3DS one are that you can use a more traditional control scheme with buttons rather than motion-controlled actions. And that it has some extra levels. So on 3DS, after you beat the game, if you've gotten, like... I don't remember the condition for how you unlock them, but there's a whole extra world of levels, one in each of the themes of the worlds.
Okay. I'll have to look for that after I complete the Wii one.
Yeah, I really regret not picking up DKCR 3D at launch, because I sort of wrote it off at the time, but then later on I went back and decided to be more completionist about it. Where is the DK barrel? I can hear it. It's nearby and I need it. Is it down here? I fell too far and I died. That's just awful.
No! 4 out of 5. Very close.
Okay. We're gonna do it again.
I'm trying to remember another the impossible layer kind of counts, but then they did add checkpoints later, so.
That's true. Yeah, the impossible layer. I never even tried to do it all in one go. Or sorry, I never tried to do the golden tonic, the golden try, where you do it without getting any bees. I definitely did finish it before they updated the game to add checkpoints.
Right. I think I did as well, but I did not go for the golden try. I like looked up some other folks doing it, and I'm like, I could spend a couple days doing this, but I wouldn't have a good time.
Yeah, exactly.
That game was just delightful, though. That was very fun.
Which one?
Impossible Lair.
Yeah. It's really good. Like, it's a really good successor to the Donkey Kong Country games because it's got some of the same development staff involved and similar kind of structure.
For sure. I definitely prefer 3D platformers. I'm a big fan of that genre, but just playing Impossible Lair, and I was like, I know this is a better game, even if I like it less than the original Yooka-Laylee. I can respect that. Just felt like it was more polished, and everything just fell into place in a more coherent way.
Yeah, that's well said. So you preferred the original Yooka-Laylee, did you?
I like it a lot. It's a bummer that when it came out, people were so hard on it, and it kind of seems like a point where now it's getting old enough that people are willing to give it more of a chance, and they're kind of coming around a bit. But I really enjoy it. I would go as far to say that I like it more than Banjo-Tooie, which I know is kind of sacrilegious. But
I agree with you. It's okay.
Ooh. I'll just say here that I do like Banjo-Tooie, but on a recent replay, I considered many horrible things when I was playing Grunty Industries, so...
Oh, it's...
that level.
It's bad. It's so easy to get lost.
I had a guide with me, and I still felt like I did not know what I was doing. Oh no, I'm so sorry about your minecart level. I just got to that.
Yes, well, that's okay. I'm committed to this now. We're just gonna do this. It's fine. And lives don't matter at all. You just start with 15 for some reason. Would that even come into play? Even if you run into like a nasty cobble who takes away life balloons, you're still able to play that life even if you run out of extra lives.
So are you starting with 15 each time, or are you managing to get enough bananas each run that it's bringing you to 16?
Good question. I feel like it's just setting me back to 15 when I start again. Oh no. Oh my gosh, that was weird. Bit of a weird physics thing with Espresso there. But it worked out in my favor, thankfully. Given in chat earlier, pointed out that you can get... well, actually, that applies to both Jungle Climber and Donkey Kong Country Returns. Both available on the Wii U Virtual Console. Although I don't know if the digital distribution of Wii games was called the Virtual Console. It doesn't really have all the extra features of the Virtual Console releases. But you can get Returns digitally on the Wii U.
Is that
and
still up?
Jungle Climber.
The Wii Store?
No, it's still up.
Okay, good.
There was some thing where, like, they were going to limit something about it, like how you add money to it, maybe. But if your accounts are linked, you can still add money another way on the web or on a Switch, and it'll still show up when you access the Wii U and 3DS eShops.
Yeah. That's good. I am a big physical games person, but I am always happy when things get re-releases, because it just gives them a wider audience and brings more people to the game. Like Banjo coming to the Switch today. Exciting.
Oh, true. Very, yeah. News. Sorry. Very relevant.
It was funny.
Yeah.
It was funny how they kind of just shoved it in at the end. They didn't show any gameplay. They're like, we got this one.
Okay, cool.
You guys like this one? I guess we have that. Anyway, here's Zelda. It's like, okay, thanks, Nintendo.
Yeah, Majora's Mask coming later.
Yeah. I see people saying now that Diddy Kong Racing has a chance, and I don't know, but I'm hopeful.
Yeah. Well, the conversation immediately went to that, which is kind of funny to me.
Yeah, it must be really beloved for other folks as well as us, which is good. I've always said it's better than Mario Kart 64, which I fight about with folks on the internet quite often over, but worth it.
Yeah, it's a great game.
It was also my first video game, so I'm
a
little biased. Yeah.
Nice.
I didn't get back to the Super Nintendo stuff until later. I started out on the N64.
Okay. Yeah, we're about the same age. My first real console was the SNES with the pack-in of Yoshi's Island. And a few years later we got the 64.
Yeah, that's a great one to start on too, though. Yoshi's Island, really great game.
Fantastic game. It's still one of my favorites to this day.
Definitely holds up. It's got like such a colorful, cute art style too.
Yeah. There's another one to actually look into if you're, along with Jungle Climber, if you're picking up some DS games. Check out Yoshi's Island DS. Highly underrated.
Okay, I'll look into it.
And I know Gibbon loves it too.
Okay. Is that also a side-scroller?
Yeah, in fact, like Jungle Climber, it uses both screens to give you more vertical space for some levels, which is interesting. It's basically just Yoshi's Island again, but with more stuff.
Hey, that's fine by me.
Yeah. I was doing some research on it recently when I was drawing up that big DK pixel art. I included a row of Yoshis from Yoshi's Island DS, because DK is one of the babies, because you get multiple babies to play as instead of just Mario. And I was like, well, if I'm including the Yoshis, let's put in other friendly characters from that game. So that includes the stork and the kangaroo, who is in some of the bonus stages. Looks very strange, but yeah, Yoshi rides in its pouch for a bit.
You just wanted to make more work for yourself. Like, I want to make more of these.
Yeah, that's what Kathy kept saying. I was like, you know what? I'm going to put another row in here. She's like, I knew it. I knew you weren't done with that. I was working on it for months. Anyway, yeah. Yeah, I can retire now. Actually, I've started on my next one already. I'm drawing Ewoks, which I talked about at length in the last stream.
Yeah. Have you checked out Star Wars Visions yet?
Oh, no, I forgot that it existed. Is it dumped all at once, or are they releasing bits?
All dumped.
Oh, great.
It's all on Disney Plus. I've seen about half of them, and without getting into spoilers, I think they're fun.
Time to binge. Yeah. I liked the trailer. This is the kind of anime-style Star Wars spin-off thing, right?
Right, and each episode is like its own bite-sized story done by a different anime studio. But they're really fun.
Oh, okay.
They do a lot of different things.
So it's an anthology kind of thing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Didn't somebody compare it to the Animatrix?
Very similar to that.
Yeah, okay. That's great. I love the Animatrix.
Yeah. And like even the stories that I wasn't as big on, like the animation is still beautiful, and you don't have to stick with it. It's like 15 minutes of your life. So you're like, okay.
Ah! Well, that was intense.
And hopefully we can get through this level this time.
Oh, the Klinger caught me by surprise.
Yeah.
When I stand here, there's just repeated Klinger sounds coming from somewhere. It's a bit disconcerting.
Just assume they're on every rope.
Well, it sounded like there were 100 of them in a row. Oh no! Cruncher! I tried to grab the rope and I just missed. Anyway, I wanted to say before that Poochie, who is like the dog friend in Yoshi's Island, is not in Yoshi's Island DS at all. And I really wanted to
So
include
cute.
Poochie, but Poochie's not there. Donkey Kong never met Poochie.
Didn't they make an amiibo of him too? You'd think that he'd be
Yeah.
like more around.
Yeah, he's a bigger part of the series now, since yeah, that was the 3DS port of Yoshi's Woolly World. They added a lot of Poochie content to that, including like bonus levels where you play as the Poochie pups, who are like Poochie's 3 kids.
Oh, good.
And
That sounds adorable.
yeah, along with that, they released a Yarn Poochie amiibo, which is very cute. Oops. Well, that was weird.
Probably feels better to make mistakes on level 1.
Yes.
Like, whatever.
Oh no, I did it again. That barrel keeps catching me off guard. That's okay. Let's redo that level. Yeah, Gibbon agrees. That amiibo is adorable.
The yarn amiibos are so cute. I was glad that they made those. I wish they'd kind of branch out into like more different mediums.
Yeah.
I figured. I guess the cereal box counts, but like.
And the cards, I guess.
Yeah.
The cereal box just is a card that's embedded into the box, I guess.
Right. I have a little PTSD from the cards because I remember the Animal Crossing cards just getting scalped for so much. And
There's too
thankfully,
many of them.
Yeah.
Trying to
they're
collect them would
available now.
be, yeah.
People were picking out their favorite Instagram villagers and being like, well, I'll sell this one for $50. It's like, it's one card, please.
Yeah, I think they just announced a Series 5 of those, actually.
Oh.
So presumably they're going to be making cards of all the new villages. There's not that many new ones in New Horizons, but yeah, I guess Raymond is going to be scalped a whole bunch because he's a fan favorite for some reason.
Bring it back. Everyone's gonna want them. Yeah, I noticed we had an Animal Crossing chat in the Rare Discord, so there must be a lot of other Animal Crossing players here. I should get back in. It's fun.
Well, there were around the time it was new, but people dropped off as the game continued to exist without updates. So for like the first year, they were doing new content updates and there was new stuff to keep you coming back to the game, but then that all just dried up and the people also stopped playing it. Because once you've fully customized your island, you've kind of got all the customization tools and privileges. Like, unless you're a super completionist who wants to get every item or whatever, then you just run out of things to do. My goal was to complete the museum, and I enjoyed the hunt of, finding all the rare bugs and fish and stuff. And that kept me going for a while, but then I did it. My museum's complete, so there's not really much reason for me personally to open the game again after that,
I know they had the diving update
Mm.
soon after
Yeah, that was
launch,
great.
So that was great for you.
Mm-hmm.
I always say that I'm gonna complete my museum. I don't think I've ever done it in any Animal Crossing game because I will play like so hardcore for like 3 months and then I'll just burn out and I'll never get the stuff
Yeah.
in the other seasons I'm missing.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It definitely helped having a lot of friends in North America who were playing it, because I could go online and visit their towns, and our seasons are, flipped. So it let me
Right.
get a lot of stuff early or get another chance at getting certain things. So that helped.
You didn't even have to time travel. You could just like,
Exactly.
go to a different part of the world. That's
Yeah.
very helpful.
And I got really lucky with some things. Like, a lot of people complained for a while about the stringfish being a really rare fish in the river that you had to just try a lot of times to get. But I caught one really quickly. So, yeah. Sorry, people who had to grind for stringfish, but it was no problem for me at all.
It's always delightful when you hear something's going to be a grind and then you do it and you get it like immediately. You're like,
Oh,
well,
yeah.
that's done. I remember having a bit of trouble with the, I think it was called the barrel-eye fish. It was an ocean fish
yeah.
that had like these glowy green eyes that you could only get like late at night.
Mm.
And that one wouldn't show up for me.
Oh, okay. Dang.
I did get it eventually, but it took some strict fishing hours.
That was one of the dock fish, wasn't it?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so, because the sort of deep sea fish, which you know realistically you wouldn't be able to catch them with a fishing rod, but they sort of put most of them from the dock, reasoning that you know you're slightly further out in the ocean there and would have more chance to get something from deeper.
Right.
It works, I guess. That's a justification for that.
Yeah, why not?
Just playing this ultra save now.
In a game where you can catch frogs and give them to your frogs, I'm not gonna complain too much about the deep sea fish being available. Yeah, I would love to visit everyone's islands though if they ever got back on.
Oh yeah,
I got
sure.
to the point where I had just terraformed every part of my island, so I don't even know where to put new stuff. I'm sure it'd have tons of weeds if I booted it now, but I was definitely happy with the state it got it to.
Nice. Yeah, I don't think I ever visited yours, so if the Brewster's Roost update brings me back, then I'll be happy to visit your town and reciprocate.
Get some of those fish and bugs that I never caught.
Oh, great. That's just fantastic. Oh, a DK barrel right there. Amazing. Great stuff.
I'm hearing the salt in the future, but I have not experienced it with my eyes yet. Okay.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if screen share would hold up with my internet connection.
No, that's totally fine. Don't worry about it. I don't mind consuming it like this.
Well, I'm enjoying having someone to chat to as I do this. It also helps if I need to focus on something and I don't feel like I need to fill dead air, and because I can let you talk for a little bit.
Right. I can say whatever a name thing is in my mind and be like, haha, now you gotta listen to this.
Oops. Yes. That's done it. Now, I just don't remember where the clingers are. They can really catch you by surprise.
Yeah, especially because
Oh, yeah.
You're waiting properly for them because they have such a range of motion. They slide down so quick that the fog in this level makes it extra difficult.
Whoa! Yeah, so I remember from this level that there's a lot of alternate paths you can take that basically all lead the same way in the end. It's a really interesting kind of level design that, oh god, no, that the trilogy itself didn't do so much, you know.
Right.
Okay.
Wow, the frame rate does not like this part of the level.
Must be the fog, yeah. Sometimes effects like that can not come through so well on a stream, and Twitch struggles to handle it. Like I was watching a Let's Play, like a streamed play of Batman Arkham something, one of them. I don't remember which Arkham game it was, but basically whenever you get knocked out or die or whatever, then the screen fills up with fluttering bats, and because it's a really chaotic visual effect, the stream always kind of crashed or highly reduced in frame rate whenever that happened. So I think that is the DK barrel that I was hearing before from a higher platform. And I tried to backtrack for it, but I went the wrong way. So now we got two Kongs together again, which should help a bit. Just gotta alternate clingers here. Oh boy.
Hang in there.
Surprise buzz. This really is one of the worst visual effects that they've added.
Yeah, it seems the most difficult, especially when you're moving primarily vertically. There's just so little room. As far as frame rate goes, to bring up Banjo-Tooie again, I remembered one of the really tricky things about Banjo-Tooie is if you're playing it on the N64, some of the levels are just too big, and the N64 is not happy about it. So
Yeah.
there are some serious drops in that one, unless you're playing it on the Xbox Live version.
Yeah, that version has its own little bugs and problems, but it's definitely a more stable and higher frame rate for performance.
Yeah.
Yeah. On 64, yeah, it's not got great frame rate.
When I have friends over and I indoctrinate them into the world of Banjo, they're like, which one should I play? And I'm like, I don't know. What do you prefer? You want to do N64 or you want to do Rare Replay? Because we can do either.
Almost got spinied. So in this bit you can go left or right. I don't remember which one was which, so I just went left, but it worked out.
Yeah, I've seen the ending banana. I think you're about to get there.
Okay, I did get that.
Aha! One more to go. Watch it be just the worst one by far.
This level is pretty difficult, so but luckily it's in my recent memory, because I would have played it. Oh my gosh, no. Well, that's it. Bloody hell.
No!
Oh.
I think I remember watching you play this one. Was this the one with the carbuncle and it just doesn't have it this time?
No, that might be useful enemies. The one where you start having to throw barrels into the lava to stand on them. Or was that the one? Did that have the carbine? I don't remember.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, even though I was just saying, oh, I played this recently, I still don't remember too well. Oh well. Well, back to it, I guess.
You're just gonna get really good at all these levels.
Probably will. Yeah, we're probably not going to get to any other games today. It's just going to be this.
Okay. That's fine. I can come back another time for more goofy games. So
I
you
guess
said
it's...
Donkey Kong Country 2 was your favorite game, right?
Correct, yes.
Good choice.
Well, to be fair, I didn't say it's my favorite game. I said it's the best game of all time, and I don't think that anybody can dispute that.
Well, I could dispute it, but I don't think you'll like what I have to say.
No, I heard what you had to say. Viva Pinata, Trouble in Paradise, right?
No, that's my baby.
What do you like about it?
I really like relaxed kind of pet sim element games. I know it sounds very soft, but I don't really like to fight things in a game if I can avoid it. So the fact that you're just mostly befriending these animals, occasionally there's like some predator-prey stuff, but like...
Don't you have to fight the sour pinatas?
Not really. You have to satisfy their requirements so they become good. So you have to just like... You have to put in stuff that they like, and then they're like, oh, I'll be a friend, and just like, wholesome. So wholesome.
Okay. I knew there was a shovel that you can bash pinatas with. What circumstances do you do that under?
You can do it if there's a pinata you don't want in your garden.
Oh, okay.
It's a little violent, and you can bash your own if you want. I don't recommend it. I don't know why you do that. And you can technically also bash the Grim Reaper de Stardust when he shows up, and that'll delay him a little bit.
Hang on. There's a Grim Reaper? What?
Yeah, there's a pinata Grim Reaper. When your pinatas get sick, he'll show up and he'll try to break them. And you have to either heal your pinatas or ward him off. He's very spooky.
How many Grim Reapers, between that and, you know, Junior in Ghoulies and Greg the Grim Reaper in Conker, Rare certainly has a thing for Grim Reapers.
Yeah. There isn't one in Banjo, is there? I don't think so.
Nothing comes to mind.
Yeah. The one in Pinata is a very abstract Grim Reaper. Like, he doesn't have the black cloak or
Okay.
the skull face.
Sure.
But definitely his role is to be the Grim Reaper, really.
I see. I guess in that sense, Cackle in DKC2, who also appears as a boss in this game, kind of fits that bill.
Yeah. Just this agent of death.
Relentlessly chasing you. That's one of the cool mechanics in Ghoulies, is breaking the rules and then the Reaper appears and chases after you, but you can use it to your advantage sometimes. You can get the Reaper to defeat other Ghoulies or that kind of thing. And there's a cool effect. It's like a visual effect.
I liked how it wasn't like an auto lose condition. Like sometimes
Yeah.
you wanted to bring out the Reaper to make him poke stuff.
Yeah, and
What a great
sometimes
game.
the
I'm so
level
glad
kind
that
of forces you
played
into
that.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is a cool game. I played it through for the first time really recently, actually.
Oh, I did too. Steve from Rare Gamer. I was grilling him on his favorite Rare title, and he told me it was Ghoulies.
Wow.
I was like, you gotta be joking, right? He's like, no, it's my favorite. You should play it. And I did.
Is this
and,
LaRocco?
Who?
LaRocco?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Nice.
Sorry, totally got lost in the way you pronounce that, but frankly, I don't know how to pronounce it.
Yeah.
So. But yeah, so he put me on Ghoulies, and actually had a really good time, and I definitely felt worse for having judged it before that.
Oh, nice. Nice. Yeah, I don't think there's certainly some diehard Rare fan, some Rare fans who are diehards for Ghoulies. I didn't fall that far on the spectrum. I think it's pretty flawed, to be honest, but I did enjoy it.
It was better than I expected, I think, going in. I understand why, especially at the time that it came out, it was very different than the kind of game that was popular. But
yeah, it got reviewed very badly.
With how much people disliked it, I expected it to be like almost fundamentally broken, and like no, it was charming, and I thought it was fun, and I wished it was a little more open-ended, because they give you this map and they're like, you're gonna use this to get around the mansion. Then like it's all linear. But,
and even in the end, there's like the final segment where the alternate paths open up, but it's still linear. You're going from one room to another. It's just through doors that were locked before.
So why even give you the map?
Yeah.
But just the flavor and the different use of like weapons, and just the fact that it's like a short little experience and you just kind of pick up and be like, oh, I played Ghoulies. Like, it's nice.
Yeah. Like you say about you wish it was more open, they were originally intending for it to be. There's a lot of stuff about the concept phases of the game that I'm sad never came to fruition. Like especially Amber, the heroine character, would have had a much greater role originally, and it was just reduced in the grand tradition of, you know, Berry and Conker's Quest and Crystal in Dinosaur Planet. Just reduce the female character to damsel in distress. It's a distressing trend with Rare games, I guess.
I can't be too mad because they've given us Dixie, but like, and Joanna, of course, but like, yeah. It is kind of a bummer.
But yeah, there's lots of stuff about the game that had to be cut back, which is unfortunate. So I wish that it had got more time and more resources.
Yeah, I wonder if Microsoft was the reason that it got pushed out. They were just like, well, we need to release something.
Yeah, who knows? Because it was in development for GameCube originally.
Right. So was Cameo, I believe. Right?
Yeah. That had two development shifts, because it went GameCube to Xbox and then to 360.
My gosh, surprised it came out at all.
Okay. I'm taking basically the same route I did last time through this level. Oh god.
It seemed to work out well before.
Oh no! Maybe I'll try and avoid this B formation next time. Oh well. Now, I don't think even a heavy con can defeat a cruncher in one go. Okay, they did give me a barrel, mercifully. Ugh! Ghost ropes.
Oh, one other thing about ghoulies that I do want to comment on, because
Yes.
it was absolutely bizarre to me, was the tied-up children that were kind of sexual? Question mark? It's very weird. Don't know who okayed that one.
Yeah. I guess Greg Males did, but I know what you mean. Greg, what?
Most of them were benign, but some of them were in very compromising positions. I was just like, all right, ghoulies. Sure.
No! Oof. Okay. Yes, we're back here again, given... But this time, I got past the bit that killed me last time. I did lose a Kong, so I'm on the lookout for another DK barrel.
Just Dixie, you lost too, what a bummer.
This is where the fake out Ramby is. Okay. Hologram.
At least the visual effect in this level is not very overbearing.
Oh yeah, that's true. I barely even noticed it.
Could have been worse.
Oh yeah, I forgot this. Oh no! The invincibility ran out just at the wrong time.
Oh no. Is there a jingle for that, like there is in Mario? Is it like more subtle?
It's just kind of a loop, you know, so it doesn't tell you when it's gonna run out, I guess.
No.
It's a really short music loop.
And you had all the gas cans too.
Yeah, I had them all, I just needed to finish the level.
Do you think there'll be a secret sixth level?
Well, the sign on the balloon says, "To a new world," which is very, you know, teasing. It's hard to know what they mean by that, though. English is not the first language of the developers, so there's a lot of awkward phrasing in the in-game text, which is usually just limited to Andre's monologues in his room.
Right. That's understandable.
Yeah. They're natively Brazilian Portuguese speakers, and I am pretty sure that they use Google Translate to post development updates in English, just for promotion.
At least they have an English version. That's sweet of them to do.
Yeah. But this is one of 3 different, you know, major DKC fan games that are being developed out of Brazil. So there must be a huge Brazilian community for DK. Or it's a coincidence. Yeah.
Is it like all the bananas? I don't know.
I wouldn't care to speculate. Go ahead. I wasn't going to eat it. I have heard that DKC is popular in Latin America. I guess that would include Brazil, right?
Yeah, I know they have wild monkeys there.
Okay.
And, they're kind of like the equivalent of like squirrels that I have, at least in the east coast of the U.S. So maybe just because of that, they're more endeared to monkeys and like monkey content.
Oh, okay. For me, that would be possums.
Oh, do you like possums?
They're alright, I guess. They can sometimes act like pests. Like my parents-in-law had a possum that was like nesting in below their house, and it had fleas. So the fleas got into the house and got on their cat, and in all their bedding and stuff. So yeah, they had to try and block all the holes that the possum could get in.
Now I have to ask the generic cliche question that you have to ask all Australians. How often do you see kangaroos?
Oh, I actually see them pretty often.
Wow.
In my city, there's a lot of greenery, green spaces, and we're in sort of isolated area generally in like, so each state and territory has a motto on their license plates, and one of the ones for us is the bush capital, because we're the national capital, but it's kind of isolated. It was a sort of planned city that was out between the major metropolitan areas. But yeah, the upshot of this is there's kangaroos that kind of roam around. It is actually a little bit of a problem sometimes, because they can get hit by cars on the side of the road, and they do a lot of damage to cars because they're large and heavy. So
Yeah, I can imagine.
yeah, running into a kangaroo can be fatal to the driver, unfortunately. And my commute to work, I always go in here by mistake, and it's not the right way. Yeah, my commute to work, I would often used to see dead kangaroos on the side of the road, unfortunately. But they've tried to get around that by building a fence along the freeway there, which has definitely helped a lot. But like, I live near a university campus, and there's a lot of, you know, open green spaces there, and just the other day I was walking through it and saw a mob of kangaroos just near the tree line, just hanging out. So yeah, I definitely see them in my daily life, which is really cool.
Now, are they at all aggressive? Do you have to worry about getting like too close to them?
Well, I wouldn't get too close to them. I think, you know, they can be dangerous because they're big and they can kick really hard. I wouldn't worry if I saw them, but yeah, I guess you shouldn't go and bother them.
That makes sense. In my area, we kind of have the same thing with deer, where deer are just everywhere, and you'll see them in little herds on the side of the road a lot, just hanging out.
Oh, that's so lovely.
Yeah, they're sweet.
Oops. Now, this is one of my problems with this game. The team up just cancels itself sometimes. Anyway, it's fine. We did it.
I definitely noticed some weird physics stuff and little idiosyncrasies. Nothing big, but I can tell that it could. You can tell it's kind of a fan game because it's just not quite as polished.
Yeah. But for the work of a small team of fans, it's really,
yeah, of course.
really accomplished, I think. Yeah.
Right. I don't want to belittle that at all. Obviously, with a budget of $0, it looks lovely.
Yeah, I thought that it was done pretty quickly too, because the first demo release was in 2019 and then the final release was 2020. But according to what I read on, like, I don't know, their profile pages or whatever, it had been in development for 7 years. So they just weren't releasing demos and stuff of it before then.
So, just want to note that your lives have been counting up.
Oh, yeah.
So you could technically game over from the amount you have, but you're just getting enough bananas that doesn't matter.
So it's incremented even between attempts.
Right, yeah.
Okay. Well, I had a lot. Actually, I don't know how many I had when I first started, because I started last stream with 100 lives, and during the stream, oh god, no. During the stream, I lost most of them. Alright. So I can get a DK barrel halfway up this rope way by going in here.
There was about to get hit.
Cool.
Okay, crisis averted.
Yeah. Yeep.
You know how when you play a game where you only have 2 life, there's really no middle ground. You're either smooth sailing with 2 life or in panic mode with 1.
Yeah. Oh, this again. I said I was gonna do a different one last time. Let's not go through those buzzers again. Oops.
So how do you feel about Cranky Kong being in the Mario film? That was surprising to me.
Ah! Yeah, I didn't expect that. I didn't even expect Donkey Kong to be there.
Unfortunately, it seems as of late, Donkey Kong has been more of a Mario character than anything else.
Yeah. That's the
It's
DK
something.
fans' dilemma. It's like, you like seeing DK, but if he's just a Mario spin-off supporting character, then it's not really the same as getting
Yeah.
a real Donkey Kong game, you know?
And it's not that I don't love Mario, but it feels like DK used to have so many games, and then
Yep.
not so anymore. I'm hoping the rumors are true about the 2D game in development.
Well, we'll see. I have nothing to say about that. Sorry.
Okay. that is fine. You probably know things that I can't know, and that's okay.
Oh no, I definitely have no knowledge. There's nothing to talk about, you know? It's just rumors.
Sometimes I feel like I've heard things before where it's like, oh, you do know something. So like I get to...
People like to say they know something, but if they can't talk about it or won't, then it's functionally equivalent to there being no information at all.
Yeah.
If they're not going to talk about it,
Right.
then... Oh no, it happened again! I hate this!
Oh no! I have a thing coming up where there's this like online gamer survey thing where occasionally they'll like message you and be like, have you played any of these games? And you have to like pick games from like this list of 30 games. And it turns out that I qualified for the recent one because they're doing something for Overwatch 2. And I had to sign the NDA today for the upcoming thing, so like, who knows what I'll learn, but
Wait.
I won't be able to talk about it.
But you just did. Are you allowed to say that?
I'm allowed to say that.
Okay.
I mean, like, Overwatch 2 has been confirmed.
Oh, okay,
that
cool.
is a game that is known in the world, but whatever they tell me about that, I won't be able to relay that.
Got it. And yeah, I am at 22 lives now, so it has been counting them up, eh?
Yeah. And it's always weird to say that, because I feel like you just tell people that, and they're like, yeah, sure, whatever. But, like, I can take a screenshot of the email if you want.
Yeah, although any Activision stuff is a bit fraud at the moment.
I know, right? They're gonna be like, what would it take for you to buy Overwatch 2? And I'm gonna be like, I don't know. Maybe don't pass nudes of your employees around the office. That's
Yeah.
step one.
How about fire the management who are harassing the female employees?
Yeah.
Then I'd be more interested in the games.
It was so funny. I like didn't expect it at all to be an Overwatch thing because of course they give you like this list of like 30 AAA games because they don't want you to like specifically try to game the system. They want to like find organic fans of the stuff. But like I played a ton of Overwatch when it first came out, so like that was one of the boxes I ticked. And then like when they called me to talk on the phone, they're like, "How are your feelings about Overwatch?" And it's like, "Oh, it's a Blizzard thing." Okay.
I see.
I thought it might have been God of War, because it was one of the other ones I had ticked, but I had played so little God of War that I like had to like call up my husband and be like, can you snag a copy of God of War used on the way home, just in case someone calls me about God of War? And he was like, yeah.
But which one?
I think they meant the recent one, because I think they're trying to like to take testimonies of people who've played modern stuff, so they can use those feedback to develop new stuff. But like for me, it had been like the PS2 one that I played.
Yeah,
said, like,
they have the same name.
No quantifiers, and like after I picked that, they're like, we'd like to contact you. I was like, oh man, I should play the recent God of War.
Yeah, I've never played God of War, but I've played a few God of War clones, which there are lots of course.
Yeah.
At least clones of the old one, that is. Like, I just got finished playing Castlevania Lords of Shadow, which I've heard is a God of War-like.
Oh, I haven't even heard of that. I'll have to...
Oh.
I know very little about Castlevania, so...
Yeah, it's sort of a 3D kind of soft reboot of Castlevania, made by Mercury Steam, the Spanish studio, who are now developing the upcoming Metroid Dread.
Oh, that's interesting that they made a 3D Castlevania and now we're doing a 2D Metroid, because that seems like backwards for what the franchises are known for at this point.
Oh, at this point, yeah. Well, Metroid has a split identity. A lot of people like the 2D stuff or the 3D stuff or both. But,
Right.
Oh, nuts, no way. That's really bad, actually. Okay. Actually, maybe I should backtrack for a DK barrel. I think there was one down there. Nope, I'm gonna keep going. Gonna risk it. Yeah, so the funny thing is that they did do a 2D Castlevania as like an interquel or a spin-off in between doing Lords of Shadow 1 and 2, and that's what I'm currently playing. So Mirror of Fate is like 2.5D. They translated a lot of the mechanics from the 3D one to 2D, which I think caused a lot of people to look down on it, because at that point you're directly comparing it to the classics like Symphony of the Night and stuff. It is an open exploration type one, to some extent. So yeah, you're kind of it's kind of inviting comparisons, but at the same time, yeah, following up on what they did with the 3D one. So it's an odd little thing, but I'm really enjoying it. I played the demo of it back when it was first released on 3DS, and was like, this sucks, this is not for me, because at the time I was also catching up on the DS Castlevanias, Dawn of Sorrow, Portrait of Ruin, Order of Ecclesia, and they're fantastic in the Symphony of the Night mold. They're really good games in that style, and this one felt like, at the time when I played it, I felt like it was like perverting that kind of game and adding on all this crap that I didn't like about those games. But now, having played it in the context of just after Lords of Shadow, what it's really doing is taking what it established there and translating it to 2D. And in that, if I'm trying to keep it in that frame of mind, then it actually works really well and is fun to play. So, yeah, it's all about context and stuff.
As someone who has never played a single Castlevania game, where should I start if I was interested in trying out the franchise?
Okay, so that's a really interesting question, because like I said, there's two kind of different branches, a bit like Metroid. The classic style ones are level based and, you know, very difficult, very precise kind of platforming and combat. Whereas starting with Symphony of the Night, there started being this other type of Castlevania game where you're freely exploring. You might have heard the term Metroidvania, and tons of indie games use that formula. So if you've played indie games like that and really like it, then...
I really like Hollow Knight, and I know that's a Metroidvania. That's
there you go.
One of my favorite games.
Sure.
So I'd probably be leaning towards the 2D stuff.
Well, the two things I mentioned are 2D. There are some 3D games, but they kind of get overlooked. So it's not a huge part of the Castlevania identity, but there are like 6 3D games.
There's a lot more Castlevania games than I know of.
There's a lot. It's a big series.
It's always fun when you can delve into a new video game IP where you're like, I don't know anything about this. Let's learn.
Yeah, so if we're going to again talk about you buying old DS games, then I would recommend trying out. Or actually, the thing about the DS Castlevania games is they're really good. All three of them I really like a lot, but they're extremely expensive on the secondhand market. Maybe because they're so popular or they had low print runs. But getting a copy of them actually physically is really expensive. Um,
What a bummer. But yeah, as someone who buys retro games periodically, I know all too well what that's like.
Yeah. So I would say that Order of Ecclesia is probably my favorite, and it's in that style, the quote-unquote Metroidvania style, or sometimes they say Igavania, because Koji Igarashi was the director of Symphony of the Night and some of the later ones that took after it as well. But if we're again talking about current events and recent news, they've just announced a Castlevania Advance Collection, where they're re-releasing 4 games in a modern collection, which they've been putting out several classic Castlevania collections recently. What this one has is the 3 Game Boy Advance titles, as well as Dracula X, which is in the classic style. So that would actually give you a look at both types of those games if you're interested in checking them out. And the 3 GBA ones are quite good, and I don't like them as much as the DS ones, but and they have different kind of drawbacks and characteristics to them that make them kind of more divisive on their own. But it's still might be a good place to start, especially since Aria of Sorrow is one of the ones in that collection, and that's often cited by people as their favorite. It is one of the better ones.
Okay.
So yeah, Aria of Sorrow in the latest collection. That's a good one to try. And if you're willing to try emulation, then Aria of Sorrow is pretty easy to get running that way. Oh god, why? I rushed it trying to get over the zinger and missed the jump, and it's just a death if you do that. So we're going back again.
So brutal too. You make one mistake and it's like, okay, play for another 15 minutes to get back to where you were.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know if these are reproductions, but I'm looking at the price of Castlevania DS on eBay, and it's not the worst, I guess, because I'm used to like Pokemon prices on the
Oh
2DS.
yeah. They're real
It's not
expensive too, yeah.
Oh my gosh, Pokemon games get worse all the time. They're fun to play. I mean, in the sense that they are quite expensive to buy.
Yeah. Like it's not too long after they're released before they start costing more than they did at release.
Yeah. Just from moving in with my husband, of course, we both played a lot of Pokemon growing up, so I think we're only missing 2 carts to have the full collection, but like just buying those would be like $250. So...
Good grief. Wow.
No thanks.
Yeah, I think when we were first getting DSs, and this was after the heyday of the DS, we got Heart Gold with the Poker Walker for like, I don't know, it was about $120 maybe. And it's even more than that these days to get it.
For sure.
But yeah, that one is actually still my favorite, Heart Gold.
Yeah, that's a really popular one with the fandom, and I think for good reason. The following Pokemon is really cute. You get sprite work, you get like all the extra features, like the little radio, and you get both regions you can go to. There's just stuff going on.
Yeah, best post game in the series.
Yeah, it's great.
And
I think that's one of the
it's
reasons too. It's so expensive. But,
yeah.
you know.
And it's like, Gold was my first Pokemon game, and revisiting it with all the new modern quality of life features was really cool.
Yeah, of course. I started on Blue. I got a Game Boy Color, and I got like that and like Kirby's Dream Land 2. and I was very young and very bad at the game, especially because I chose Charmander, and that is bad news if you haven't played Pokemon before. So I think what ended up happening is I like handed the Game Boy off to my brother for Pokemon Blue because I like couldn't beat Misty with my Charmeleon. But I got like really back into Pokemon when Gen 4 came out in high school, and I started playing competitively at like local cons.
Oh wow, cool.
Had a blast with it.
Yeah.
I did all the nonsense breeding stuff for like natures and
Oh wow, you got really into it.
the gross stuff.
I just said gold was my favorite, but actually yellow was my... Sorry, I just said gold was my first, but actually yellow was my first. I misspoke.
Oh, that's totally fine. You're not being tested.
But yellow is where that whole following Pokemon started, because it gave you the Pikachu who follows you around all the time. Extremely cute.
Yeah.
And you could talk to it.
In Heart Gold Soul Silver too, if you're someone who hunts shinies, the shinies show up as the right color when they're following you. Like, there's just so much care in that game.
Oh wow, nice.
Now, what is your favorite Pokemon? I have to ask.
Oh, Corsola, right here on my desk.
Oh.
Yeah.
Now, do you like the pink version, or do you like the ghosty version?
I don't like the ghost version. I was really upset when in Gen 8 they were like, Corsola's gonna have an evolution. I was like, great, finally, that's amazing. And then it's bleached and dead, and it's like, this is the result of human pollution. It kills everything. And it's just such a grim reminder of that we are actually killing our world. And like, I don't want this out of my favorite Pokemon to be this reminder of our ravaging of the planet and destruction of ecosystems. It's so sad to me.
I'm so sorry they turned your favorite into the global warming Pokemon.
Yeah. Especially here, like the Great Barrier Reef is like one of our huge natural wonders of the world, and it's slowly dying every day. There's less of it. It sucks.
Hopefully there's like programs in place to kind of protect it. I don't know too much about it, but hopefully.
Hopefully, yeah, who knows, I don't know. Yeah.
Sorry
Anyway,
to bum you out,
Corsola got a... No, that's a natural question. Corsola did get a really good showing in new Pokemon Snap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agree.
They appear a lot, and are extremely cute, so that was a joy for me.
Right, and they put him next to Pyukumuku a lot, and Pyukumuku is one of my favorites. So
Oh, cool.
That was fun.
Nice. Yeah, Pyukumuku is very cute, and then because it's like those real life sea cucumbers that eject their guts out of their mouth to scare people, right?
Yeah, it's one of those, but they really like played up the cuteness factor of it.
Yeah,
and,
even with that that factor, it's still very cute.
I like how slow it moves, how it like barely scoots along. It looks very friendly.
Yeah, it has a lot of fun interactions with other Pokemon too. Like it rides inside the bill of Pelipper.
Yeah, I loved seeing that for the first time. I'm a big Pokemon Snap fan. It's another one of those cozy, wholesome games. So
Nice.
like, yes.
Yeah, I like the original a lot. So when they finally made a new one, I was very excited.
Absolutely, and it was another one of those fun games to see reviews for, because like it's one of those games where either you get it or you don't. Like I think half the reviews were like, you just take pictures of Pokemon, what else do you do? And then like the positive reviews were like, oh yes, you just take pictures of Pokemon. Like it's great.
Yeah. One of the reasons I love it is you get to see Pokemon interacting in their natural environments outside of, being forced to fight one another.
Right, and you get to see him like take a nap and like have a snack. It's so cute and nice.
Yeah, there's so many like really cute and fun behaviors and interactions and animations that you get to watch.
Right. I loved the Illumina Pokemon. I'm also a big fan of Meganium, and it was really nice to see it get in the spotlight for once because I feel like it never gets that. So.
Yeah. Very overlooked as a Gen 2 starter.
Yeah.
Isn't it like the Charmander of that game, basically? Because you start with a bug and a flying type gym.
Yeah, it's a little trickier there.
It's
and,
hard mode.
I've seen a lot of polls for starters before, and what normally ends up happening for starter polls for popularity is like Charmander polls first and Chikorita polls last, which is such a bummer because
Right.
it's a beauty.
Yeah.
But I think it was one of the first starters that had like a distinctly feminine feel, like before
Right.
Rita, of course, and I think that was off-putting to a lot of people when they picked it, and just over time it became more girly, and they didn't like that.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a bugbear of mine. Just the way that people talk about Pokemon, or even animals in general. People often masculinize them. They call them he, and they call them boy, good boy, that kind of thing. I'm like, there's a lot of female animals in Pokemon, you know?
All dogs are boys and all cats are girls.
Uh-huh, I guess so. Alright, here I am again. At the tricky barrel part.
If you need me to shut up to focus better,
No,
just
I
let
did
me
it.
know.
Woo! Thank you there.
Just no problem. I will happily be quiet if it assists in the completion of this level.
Playing a Stiddy is going to help. Because he's faster.
Yeah, touching base on what you said a little bit earlier, I believe that's a phenomenon called like male as the norm, where people just like, if there isn't like a specific gender cue for something, people like automatically use he, him pronouns and are just like, oh yes, boy.
Yep. Oh god. Yeah, it's annoying. Sometimes I like to bite back at people and just exclusively use she pronouns when talking about Pokemon specifically.
Go in. Respect you.
What? Where did that come from?
Oh, I'm about to watch this and see what you mean.
No. Huh. My heart is racing.
Oh my goodness, that was out of nowhere. Hang in there, Dixie.
Oh, oh, oh. Where am I going? This way? I think? What the hell? Ah! Okay.
This is a wild ride.
My heart. I finished it. I did it.
Congratulations! Yay!
Thank you.
Well deserved.
Okay.
What a nightmare.
It's asking me to save the game. And I've gotten to 105%.
Yeah! I love when the percentage counts above 100.
Okay, Andre's talking. Yeah, you got it. This is amazing. I saw a little bit from up here, and it looked so hard. Now we have enough fuel to experience a completely new world. With K. Rool trapped in Cranky's treehouse, nothing will stand in the way of our adventure. Let's go. Oh!
More levels?
Oh no. Teaser. The cage is broken. K. Rool has broken free. What does this mean?
He left his Donkey Kong Jr. machine behind. Unacceptable. Is this teasing possible new content in the future?
I have no idea. Andre's floating in the void. Where I am? What's happening? How did K. Rool escape? Oh no, it's the dancing K. Rool. He's back. K. Rool found a bug in the game that allowed him to control himself. However much Andre gave his best, some bugs in the programming couldn't be fixed. Ain't that the truth? That's why Andre created a plan B to prevent problems like this. Okay. Plan B. This game will self-destruct in... Oh no! 3, 2, 1... No, you can't do that. Okay, I think it faked out that it deleted my save files, but I don't think it actually did. Yeah, restoring backup. Okay. This is like when Grunty threatens to delete your save in Banjo-Kazooie. The game just closed and relaunched itself. Okay.
Won't Grunty really delete your save though if you like push? I forget what that has to do with.
I don't think it does.
Hold on, now I gotta look this up.
Gibbon's reacting to this pretty strongly. This has gone strangely meta. And then what? Yeah, that was a fantastic fake out. Okay. So the game relaunched itself. This is all the same stuff. Gibbon says it. K. Rool escaped to the Sea of Thieves, which is more up-to-date news stuff. Rare's just shown off a new ship in Sea of Thieves that looks exactly like the Gangplank Galleon from how it looks in DKC 2. Yeah, it's got like a golden crocodile figurehead. It's got the blue and red trim. I don't think it has the Kremling skull and crossbones sail. You can actually see it right there in the background on the left of this screen. But yeah, that's a cool thing. There's so many little nods and references to their other games in Sea of Thieves. It's pretty cool.
Except for Ghoulies. Nothing for Ghoulies.
Is that true? Dang.
That is 100% true. Ghoulies has no representation in Sea of Thieves.
Sad.
It has like no merchandise. It doesn't have like an official soundtrack or vinyl. It is just bleak to be a Ghoulies fan.
Gibbon says it has a stylized croc head on the sails. So that's cool. All right, there we go. It did keep my save. 105%. All good.
Right. You did it.
Yay!
And for clarification, Grunty will erase your save file, but only when you save and quit, lose all lives, or turn the power off does this effect apply, apparently. So
What?
when she warns you that she'll do it, she does it.
That's so rude.
I know, right?
Yeah, Gibbon says the flavor text also references the Kremlings, probably in a sort of sly, winking way. She says they keep bothering Chris to put in Ghoulies references because Chris Alcock, who has worked for Rare, often interacts with the community and the DK Vine Sea of Thieves streams as well.
Keep bothering him, Gibbon. I know that Ghoulies is flawed, but it deserves better than nothing.
I think in terms of Ghoulies merch, recently Rare had like a thing where you could submit fan art designs and they would like they had like t-shirts and stuff on a third-party t-shirt store.
I think you're talking about Designs by Humans.
Yeah.
think they have like 50 designs at this point. I think like 2 of them are ghoulies.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, someone in our community, Dustin Jackson, made a ghoulies design of the mummy, and that got accepted to that. So you can get a sort of semi-official ghoulies t-shirt designed by, yeah, an acquaintance of ours.
Man, I don't know if they're still doing that. Maybe I should submit something. See if
Yeah, you should. Your art is fantastic.
Oh, thank you. Very sweet of you.
So I'm back on the map screen now. I'm just gonna select the balloon and see what it says. If it's just the same text again. Because that whole like new world thing seemed like a fake out on top of the additional fake out of K-Rool breaking out and stuff. It's just sort of reset us back. Yeah, this is the same text as before. So I don't know what the new world hint is. That could let people down if they think there's new levels coming, but there doesn't seem like there's any new content after this. But we got this secret ending, which is really cool. I'm glad I was able to show that off on the stream after an hour and a half solid straight of just playing through this incredibly difficult mode again and again.
Oh, don't worry. I'm sure it would have taken me much longer, but I'm glad that you got through it. And the cool glitchy ending with K-Rool escaping was cool.
Extremely cool. I'm glad you were here. That actually did help me to get through it. So my plan was to play more DK games, but because this took so long, I think I'm just going to cut it off there.
Sure.
And
Gibbon also says do it as far as the t-shirt design goes.
For you,
thank
yeah.
You, Gibbon. If you have any ideas, feel free to spitball them at me, but I'll probably lean towards something Viva Pinata, of course.
Of course. I would expect nothing less from you.
No.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to stop the stream here. This has been like so much adrenaline has flushed through my system during that last half of that last level.
I know. You were kind of playing blind, but you were doing a great job.
What happens if I say no? It just kicks me back to the world. That's cool. Woo! All right. So yeah, that kind of wraps up the coverage of this game for this stream. The only kind of dangling thread would be, what is the secret of the lost banana as teased for the competition on their Facebook page? If it's like substantial, I might come back and revisit this game for it, but I don't think it will be. They've said before that version 2.1, you know, the recently released update patch, is going to be the final version of the game. So they're not going to, from that point, it seems that they're not going to be adding new content to the game from this point. So yeah,
Cool.
That does it for this. This has been Donkey Kong Country The Trilogy by Andre Productions. You can get it at dkctrilogy.com. And thank you very much for watching. And thanks to you, BananaMeteor, really, for joining in on the commentary for this one. That was a lot of fun.
Thanks for having me. I always love to talk about Rare and just be around Rare stuff because I don't really know anyone in real life who wants me to do that. So it's nice. It's refreshing.
Yeah. And we should do this again sometime.
Absolutely.
Until then, bye and stay safe and stay loving Rare. Bye-bye.